Genetic testing at EVG is quick and easy. Order a test online, send us a sample, and results will follow shortly. You can order a test using an online form. Not sure which test to choose? We have a wide selection of breed-specific test packages. A few days after your order, you'll receive a sampling kit. Taking a sample is the most important part of the test. You can do it all by yourself in the comfort of your own home. First, label the collection swabs with the animal's name or sample number. Open it without touching the tip. Put the swab between the teeth and cheeks and rub it against the cheek mucosa with gentle rotations for 30 seconds. With your other hand, press against the cheek from the outside to increase the amount of collected cells. Let the swab dry for a few seconds and then put it into the sterile packaging. Repeat the procedure with a second swab on the other cheek. Put both dried swabs and order form into an envelope and send it to us. Within 7 days, the final results will be in your user profile and your inbox. Have questions about the results? Write to us or call us. Our team is friendly and unique, just like your pet. EVG, genetic insight into your pet's life.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Talking Dogs with Ante. As usual, I'm your host, Ante Lucin from Croatia. And first of all, of course, I would like to thank to our sponsors for tonight's interview, EVG Molecular Diagnostics and Necmar Pet Nutrition. I'm very happy to see that the numbers of the online viewers are growing. I'm not sure about my guest. She's very stressed, trust me. But I'm sure everything will be perfect and amazing. I have done also my calculations for this week completely wrong. I was sure that we are leaving to the 4 international shows in Budapest next week. So I left next week free for the interviews. But like this, I will be able to spend an amazing Valentine's Day. Just joking. But anyhow, just that you know, tomorrow on Thursday, Saturday and Sunday, I will be doing in our Facebook group live streams from the Fehova International shows in Budapest. In Hungary, tomorrow, Saturday and Sunday are all breed international shows. Friday is Champion of Champions. So you can look from time to time to our Facebook group and you will find the live streams of the best in shows there. And then the last thing which I want to tell you before I introduce my guest, if you like Talking Dogs with Ante, if you like all the English sheepdogs, if you like my guest tonight, please share this video on your wall so more people can find it. For the moment, and now is the time to say good evening to Christina Bailey, my guest tonight in Talking Dogs with Ante. Welcome, Christina. Should I ask you, how are you?
I'm okay.
You are okay for the start?
Yeah, I'm okay for the start. If I sort of start talking a bit gibberish, then you know I'm not okay anymore.
Okay, as long as you don't faint, everything is fine.
No, I'm not prone to fainting.
Okay, wonderful. Well, let me tell you, and not to put you under more pressure, but we are coming close now to 100 people watching us live. And there are people, as usual, from all over the world watching. Desi Martin from the USA saying this will be great. Lisa saying Denmark is here. Julie saying good evening. Terry is saying looking forward. AG saying Ireland says hello. Susanna is watching from Spain. Nicola saying good evening all from the UK. Thanks Ant and Company for another interview of great interest. Bruce is watching from South Africa. Kathy saying Canadian greetings. Rachel saying good evening from North Carolina. Looking forward to this wonderful interview. Inge watching from the Netherlands. Linda from Wales. Mark from England. So Francesco Cocchetti from Italy. Sonia from Cyprus. Bettina from Greece. Karen from Tel Aviv. So not to put you under pressure, but there is a whole world watching.
Just a handful. Yeah, nothing to worry about.
Nothing to worry about.
No.
So, anyhow, we have agreed, Christina, we are doing this, how did we say, for the higher interest. So
yeah.
Just relax. I know how it's with the dog people. I know this can be sometimes stressful, but as soon as we start talking about dogs, everything will be amazing. Christina, people maybe who don't know you don't know that you are coming actually from the family which were already breeders and exhibitors of purebred dogs. If I remember well, your parents had German Shepherds and the Newfies. I suppose the love for the dogs came from them. Tell me a little bit about your parents. How did they get involved in the dog world?
Well, my father was not necessarily involved in dogs before he met my mum, but she was very keen on Newfoundlands, and during the war she rescued some Newfies from down south where there had been due to the war problems, and so as women are quite likely to ask their husbands, and husbands obey, he sort of got involved with the dogs as well, and also with dog showing. But there were Newfoundlands and German Shepherds at the same time, and that was still in the former East Germany, in Quedlinburg.
Yeah, because I mean, people know you, like Christina Bailey from the UK, but you are originally from Germany.
Yes.
That's very. So they were breeding and showing dogs. They were breeding with success, or they were not going so much to the shows?
To be honest, I don't know how many shows they went to. All I remember my grandmother saying once that she was always surprised that Barbara and I weren't born in a whelping box.
Okay.
So,
so probably many, I would say.
Quite a few, I would imagine, yes.
Yeah, also, I mean, we will see it later also on the photo. Maybe for people who don't know, you are a sister of Barbara Miller, which is another top name in the dog world, famous all around the world. You have been sharing also the same breed for quite many years. So maybe this is also my opportunity to say to Barbara, look, the sister has survived the interview. Now you are coming to
not
me.
at the end yet, so you can't.
Okay. Sorry, the sister is trying to survive for the moment.
Yeah, that's a more correct phrase. Yeah.
Tell me, coming from the family who had Newfies and the German Shepherds, how did the bobtails come to your life?
Well, as a child and teenager, I used to watch American series on television, and there was one series where an Old English Sheepdog was part of the series, and I always thought, when I am old enough and can make my own decisions, I want an Old English Sheepdog. So that's how it happened, and I happened to be in the Harz Mountains with my husband then, and we saw people walking an Old English Sheepdog in the street, and I approached them, and they gave me the address where they had their Old English from, and I contacted the person. I did not in the end buy the puppy from there because I didn't really like the way they were kept. So I then ended up contacting Mrs. Jean Gould from the Rolling Sea Kennel here in the UK, and Barbara was kind enough to go and pick my first puppy up.
You see.
And then she got hooked as well.
So the bad idea, the original bad idea, was yours.
Yes, okay. I'm afraid. So I'm the guilty part in this.
Okay, that's always good to know. Tell me, Christina, that was. I know ladies don't like to talk about years, but it's nice to know that was 1974 when you got your first Old English Sheepdogs from the UK, and then the year after you immediately got another one, and both of them easily finished their champion titles, I suppose, in Germany.
Yes, Germany and international titles as well.
So as soon as you got the first ones, you started immediately going to the shows and everything.
Yeah.
Was that the moment that you have decided you are going to breed dogs and spend the rest of your life breeding and showing dogs?
Well, I sort of realized that I quite like the competition, even so my first encounter at the dog show wasn't actually very successful because I was very keen about grooming the very first girl, and I groomed her far too much. So she had basically 10 hairs in 20 lines. You know, when I got to the show, I thought, oh my God, they all look different. And
Okay.
also, I said to the judge at the time, I've got another problem. She doesn't like to eat. So I said, it's really costly because, I mean, today she might like this, tomorrow she likes that, the next day she might like to have a fried egg on top, next day, no, she can't possibly eat that. And then he said to me, have you ever fed dogs before? I said, yeah, I always had to at home. And he said, so what's the difference with this one? I said, I don't know, she just doesn't want to eat. And then he said, if you put the food down and if she doesn't want to eat it, you take it up. And that's it. You don't give her something different. She will eat potato peel if it comes down to it. Oh, okay. So
A smart man.
yeah. From then on, I changed my ways with her. So
Yeah, but that's one of the things, with people. They say, oh, I need to change every day, new thing, because they don't want to eat. Yeah, of course, also to people, if you give them every day something new, of course, we want to keep it that way.
Yeah, and she probably thought she had gone to heaven.
Yeah, absolutely. That's for sure. That's for sure. I want to ask you, Christina, when did you register your kennel name, Zotos, and where did the name come from?
Well, my first husband, because when we met, I had hair right down to my bum, and he used to call me Zottel. That was my nickname. So when I applied for the affix in Germany, because they were my old English sheepdogs, that's why they're called Zottel, because Zottel is also the German word for shaggy.
Okay. Okay. And then where did this Lameda Zotel come from? Because you had that for a period of time. Now you are back to only Zotel, but there was a period of time when you had Lameda Zotel.
Yes, because that was John's affix, and even so, we started the joint affix off with my dogs only because he didn't have any dogs left. It would have been unfair if his affix had not been part of it, and that's why we joined the two affixes together.
Okay. Tell me, it was 1985. I'm all into the years. 1985 when you made this. First of April. Hopefully, it was not the 1st of April joke, but
yeah, well.
so.
Yeah.
Tell me, how did you decide to move to the UK? I mean, that must have been a big decision, a big life decision to move to the UK. You never came back to live to Germany. You stayed in the UK till now. Before you went to the UK, you bred 13 Old English champions already, and then you went with 7 to the UK and actually continued with that. Tell me a little bit about that part of your life.
Well, that is sort of the part which is a bit more difficult to explain. I was quite young when I got first married, and somehow, even so, it was a good marriage, but it wasn't the ideal marriage, not for me. Probably because I was far too young when I got married, and then I fell in love, as you do sometimes, and the person I fell in love with was the English person, John, with the Lameda affix, and that's why I moved to England.
So you told me at the start of the interview, you told me how women usually are the ones who decide what to do and how to do, and then the men should obey. But in this case, it was you who moved to another country, so it must have been really a big love at that time.
It was.
Tell me, Christina. I mean, to be used to one kind of life, you know, in your own country, with your friends, with your family, with everybody, and then to move to another country with your dogs. How you were, you know, when you came to the UK, were the people nice to you? Were you accepted well? In the start, you mean when we talk about dog shows and breeding and the colleague breeders and so on?
Yeah. Well, some people were extremely nice and welcoming. Others were not.
Okay,
Which
as
I
usual.
suppose, which is, I think, quite understandable, because when I first started showing Miss Marple, she started winning basically from the very first show, and there were quite a few people who did not like the fact that she was not English bred, that I wasn't English. Also, I used to dress differently than the people here in the ring, and I had one incident at a dog show where a guy came towards me and he said, "You costing me an absolute fortune." And I said, "Pardon?" And he said, "You're costing me an absolute fortune. My wife thinks it's essential now that she has to have decent clothes in the ring." And I thought, "Whoop."
Okay.
Because don't forget, at that time, most exhibitors here in the UK were still wearing their white coats. So going in the ring with nice looking clothes was a bit different.
Not so usual.
No, no.
Okay. So maybe you changed a little bit also that part of the dog culture in the UK.
Possibly, yeah.
You are maybe you are more influential than what you think you are. You see.
Well, it is
Yeah,
possible, yes.
it's possible. You see. Tell me. I mean, you started with the Old English Sheepdogs, and still today it's number one breed of your life, number one breed of your heart.
Yes.
From your CV, what I found is that you had just had as a guest one bearded collie with which you finished UK champion title, but nothing else, any other breed ever.
No, I had once, but they weren't actually mine. Bichon Frise. They were John's parents, Bichons, and so I had not myself. We did it together. A litter with those, but they weren't necessarily show quality Bichons.
Okay.
And I once had also wire hair, miniature wire hair fox, dachshund. Sorry.
Okay. And how did this bearded collie come to you?
The bearded collie came because I really wanted to learn more about the breed in contrast to the Old English Sheepdog, and I was lucky enough to be offered the really beautiful colours from Jean-Paul Bernardi to show her and have her live with us. And it was a wonderful experience, and she really, really stole my heart. She was a beautiful girl. So I enjoyed.
You wanted to have another breed next to the Old English.
No, I think Old English Sheepdogs, when you have them and you keep them in good coat, full coat most of the time, then you are basically busy enough without adding other breeds. And I always have the dogs in the house with me. I don't have kennels.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, I can imagine that there are quite a lot of work, Old English. Anyhow, there are, of course, when we started to talk about these fashion things, there are, of course, coming comments here because there are 125 people watching us. There is a lady, which I suppose it's your friend. Her name is Silke. She says, "So you are the reason why we are all buying those ugly polyester skirt suits now." So maybe. And then,
never polyester. Sorry.
Never polyester. Silke, never polyester. And then, of course, Des Martin had to give a comment. He says, "Some English women still dress so badly." But okay, anyhow. Christina couldn't, yeah, Christina couldn't change everyone. She just changed, some of. Anyhow, it's all a part of a joke. just to encourage you a little bit, Angela Peder is saying you did shine tonight, Christina. Don't know why you were so nervous. So you see everything going well. Let me talk with you now a little bit about Old English Sheepdogs. That's the breed of your heart. That's the breed that you have spent your whole life with. For the people who don't know, you bred over 170 champions worldwide, including 32 UK champions, which is like a huge thing, a breed record holder, and so on. We will talk more about that later. But I think, or maybe from my own experience, because Old English is so much covered with the code, I think for some judges it is not an easy breed to judge. Tell me, Christina, when you talk to people, about your breed, maybe somebody is asking you to mentor him if he wants to pass the exam and so on. What is that you want to see on all the English sheepdog, let's say, from the far away, and what you want to touch when you put your hands on?
Well, I think to judge an Old English sheepdog, the most important thing is that when you go over them, you try and ignore the coat to start with, because obviously with a long-coated breed, it's far more difficult than a dog where you can look back at stepping back in the ring and see the outline immediately. So you have to be able to memorize what you've touched. And I think from that point of view, the easiest way, if you possibly can, close your eyes when you go over the dogs. And to my mind, they have to have the overall balance first, and then, the added points of enough substance, being a square dog, having good shoulder layback, good hindquarters, well bent stifles, and those kind of things, and they have to be sound.
Yeah, I mean, there is also this thing about the top line. It should not be a straight top line, and then people also with grooming are encouraging a little bit.
Yes.
But I mean, how it should be when you put your hands under the coat?
It should be a slight rise, and the rise should be more over the loin than over the hip, which is something some people somehow haven't managed to achieve, or don't pay too much attention to. But it is the loin which should be slightly higher, not above the hip bone, because the loin is the part where they get the additional length from when they are moving faster. Okay.
And when we are talking about moving, they also have this kind of a special movement. We have seen on one of these ads that we made, this nicely balanced reach and drive. How should the bobtail move?
Well, it's difficult to explain, because there aren't that many Old English sheepdogs around anymore who have got a proper amble, which they're supposed to have. But you only achieve that when you have a perfectly well-built dog where the rise is over the loin and not over the hip bones, and also a dog which is short coupled with a shorter loin. It's sort of very difficult to explain. Once you see it, then oh, that's what is meant to be. But I've judged big entries and haven't seen a single one with a proper amble.
Okay. So, well, let's stay then on that subject of you judging Old English sheepdogs really all around the world and big entries. When you think about the breed today, what do you think at the moment is the biggest problem of the breed? What is something that bothers you?
To my mind, it varies in different countries. Here in the UK, I would say in the moment, most dogs are too long in body, either too long in body or too long in loin. Also, here in the UK, we have quite a few which are too close, moving too close behind. Whereas last year, for example, Barbara and I were at a Euro show, and there were completely different types of dogs. And 2 years ago at the Euro show in Germany, I sat at the ringside and I was crying because there were just some wonderful dogs. And I think here in the UK, we have to try and get those types of dogs back into the ring here. But it's a problem when the entries are going down, and you're talking about quite an expensive hobby. It's not something, so many people can afford. And then you lose sometimes dogs, they're not shown, and they would possibly be really successful if they were shown.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I read in your CV you are talking about winning with your dogs in an entry of 250 Old English Sheepdogs. These are huge numbers. I think I went actually just before the interview. I went to check. 125 dogs are entered this year at Crafts. Is that a good entry?
That is a good entry for now. Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a good entry. Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. There is a question from Andrew Brace. He's asking, could Christina talk about coat texture in the bobtail, please?
Yeah, good question. You have to go a long way nowadays to find a really good coat texture, because you get quite a number of dogs in the ring with a harsh coat, but they haven't got the break in the coat, meaning that it's not supposed to be crinkly, but it has to just have a little break in it, not a straight hair. But there are not that many about, I'm afraid. Sorry.
Okay. Well, when we talk about coat, this is one of the breeds where it always comes also a discussion about grooming. There are a lot of people, a lot of opinions, a lot of things that are being said about it. What is, in your opinion, okay? What is, in your opinion, too much? What is actually that should be done with the Old English Sheepdogs to prepare him for the show? Because we see some dogs which are very sculptured, a lot of hairspray and everything. Then we see some which are very, very natural. What is your opinion about that?
I can only say the way I like to show them, or used to show them. I never liked having mine sculptured. I never liked them to be scissored to an effect where I thought you look like something out of a cardboard box.
Okay.
So even so, I don't like to present my dogs. When I'm judging in the ring, I try not to penalize man-made faults. To me, over scissoring is a man-made fault. If I find the dog underneath is, in my opinion, the best one there, then I will put it up. Even so, I might think, oh my God, I wished, you were my dog and I could just leave the hair to grow. I like them to be fully coated. I don't like them to be scissored. But it's a difficult subject because even so, I find it. I could not possibly put a dog inferior dog in front of one which I thought was in outline and in balance a better one, but was sculptured. But everyone has a different opinion there, and I can fully appreciate judges saying, no, I cannot put a scissored dog in front because to me it's wrong. Yes, it is wrong, but I've always felt that the best dog on the day should win. If it's over scissored, over sculptured, over groomed, that is a man-made fault.
I'm very happy that you said that, because in many breeds, people sometimes, and it really doesn't matter, what I like or what you like. But, many times people will say, oh, I didn't put it up because it was overgroomed, it was this, it was that. But I always say, and that's somehow my theory, which is quite similar to yours, the coat will grow, the coat will be there. With the coat, you can do whatever you want, but you can't change easily shoulders or top line or substance or movement. So even if maybe sometimes I'm not happy about the dogs, even in the Schnauzer, sometimes when people say, oh, your Schnauzers are always so nicely groomed, but sometimes you put up the dogs which are completely ungroomed. You know, I want to have this under my hands. You know, and I will also, you know, always go for what I feel than just what I see about grooming.
Yeah.
So I can understand that. But yes, I can understand also that for many people it's not easy to understand just looking from outside.
Yeah, and I think it's something where everyone is entitled to their own opinion. It's just when I go in the ring judging my own breed, I would like the dog I give best of breed to, or even the best of opposite, to be a dog where I'd be happy to put my name to it, whether it's overstyled or not. Because to me, the dog shows should be representing dogs which I would be quite happy to breed from.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, you know, as you said, the grooming is not a fault of a dog. It's
No.
a fault of a person showing the dog.
Whenever I've put dogs out which, in my opinion, were overgroomed, I've always told people and said, I'm really sorry that you come with the dog like this under me. Yes, I have put you up, but it's not the way I would present this dog.
Yeah, but I think for many people, you know, because there are I think there are two extremes. You know, there are people who will just be flashed by the good grooming, and then there are people who will really put dogs down just because of grooming. And I don't think each one of them is correct. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm very happy that you said that. Anyhow, few questions came while we are talking. Andrew Brace is saying non-specialists have difficulty understanding the break in the code. How it's best explained?
Ooh, probably best explained by showing. So the next time I see Andrew somewhere,
You will show him.
I will take him to a dog. If he is at crafts, I'll take him to dogs where I think they've got a perfect coat.
Okay.
I mean, Miss Marple had one of the best coats ever. And I had one of the photographs you've got there from Georgia. She had a perfect coat, but it's not something you have on every single dog. There's just a small sort of, it's not a straight hair. It's almost like a wire brush.
Okay. Okay.
If that makes any sense.
Well, we can maybe talk a little bit about that once when we put the photos on the screen of the dogs that you mentioned. So maybe it's going to be easy for the people to understand. There is a question from Terry Simmons asking you, how do you suggest we improve the breed pool in the UK? As someone I respect, what would you be telling breeders today?
Well, if I had the aim to improve the breed here in the UK, I would go to the Euro shows for a couple of years, or even to other big shows in Europe, and just see what is shown there, because they are really, from the quality point of view, there are better dogs abroad than there are here in the UK right now.
Okay. Okay. Well, there is a person who completely agrees with you. His name is John Ritchie. He says, I agree with Christina and the European bobtails. I have judged quite a few over the past couple of years in Europe and had my hands on some outstanding Old English sheepdogs.
Yes,
so there is a question from Des Menton, and this is also something which I wanted to ask you, especially because in the past, we were all calling them bobtails, but now most of them are not bobtails anymore. He says, hi, Christina from Ireland. Has the breed changed since the docking ban?
Oh, no, I don't think the actual breed has changed due to the docking ban. I don't think so. I mean, they look obviously slightly longer in the ring now because you're taking quite a... when you dock the puppies, then you're taking, well, the best part of 2 or 3 inches away from the length of the back. But I think the dog itself hasn't changed. And I personally would never in a million years dock another puppy. I just love the tails. I'd rather have a slightly longer looking Old English sheepdog than have one without a tail.
But tell me, I mean, I'm not an expert, far away from that, but I mean, they were called bobtails because some of them were born without a tail.
No,
yeah. Whoever I ask, they say, no, that never happens.
No. I know of 2 which were born without a tail, but they didn't make it. They didn't survive.
Okay. So that's just...
well, it may have been like a long time ago, but no, I don't even know. Well, I'm lying. I know of one person, Topsy Jones from the Wienold Kennel. She once told me that she had a tailless puppy born, and it did survive, but only for sort of a couple of years, something like that. But she never bred from it. So why, I don't know. I didn't ask her at the time.
Why were they then called bobtails?
Do you know, good question. Probably because people looked at them and thought, yeah, they are
no tail.
Not a tail. Mm.
Okay. No, yeah, because I mean, you know, in the past nobody was, well, in this part of Europe, nobody was calling them Old English sheepdogs. We were always saying bobtails. But then at some point, all the bobtails came with long tails. And then it was,
exactly. Yeah.
There is a question from Maria Luisa Doppelreiter. She says, what about the use of hairspray? Do you penalize that? Do you don't mind about it, or?
I don't penalize it, no.
Okay.
I know where people normally don't put hairspray, so that's where I go and touch the coat to see whether it's a good coat or not. Okay. And you can tell whether there's spray in there or not. So many people bath their dogs these days all over, which again changes the coat texture into a softer coat. But no, I would not penalize.
Yeah, I mean, that's you know, when you say about that, when I was reading, you know, old books about terriers, it was the same thing. You know, they would never ever bath them, never. And I remember I read one article from Anne Rogers Clark in Dogs in Review, and she says, you know, people who lived in the old times, and they would, you know, judge Scottish terriers which have not been bathed for a long time. They don't know what the bad smell is really, you know, because with the Scottish and the skirt, it's very difficult to keep them clean. But yes, it was people bath dogs much more often now than in the past.
Yeah, and they bath them all over, which I think I've bathed Miss Marple twice all over, but she had mange, fox mange at the time. So that, other than that,
you were bathing, which part you were bathing?
The grey part I've never bathed. I groom regularly, but I don't bath the dogs all over. But I know that loads of people do. Maybe it's just me being lazy.
Okay. Okay. Nicolas Canales is having also a question. He says, my question is for Christina, to explain how rewarding is grooming an Old English sheepdogs and how rewarding is living with the breed.
Sorry, repeat that, please.
He says, my question for Christina is to explain how rewarding is to groom an Old English sheepdog and how rewarding is living with the breed.
Well, living with the breed, I think, is the best thing ever. Without my dogs, I wouldn't have made the last 7 years. Grooming, I wouldn't call it actually rewarding.
Yeah.
I would call it a necessity.
Okay. Yeah. There is a question from Rob Ellis, and that's something that I spoke just with my guest last week with Sonia from Cyprus. She told me that, for example, the movement of the Rottweilers have changed completely once when the tails stopped being docked. That she said because the balance of the dog has moved completely to another part of the body. Rob Ellis is asking you, does the tail change the movement? Did you maybe notice the same thing, that they have changed? They have, you know, moved in a different way when they didn't have a tail?
No, I don't think it's necessarily changed the movement to a great extent. What I have noticed is that when you have puppies which are not docked, they're on their feet a lot quicker than docked puppies. Undocked puppies, they're up on their feet was probably about 8 to 10 days old, whereas with puppies which had been docked, it takes a good 2 weeks before they're up on their legs. But I don't think it has changed the movement as such. Other people might see it differently, but I don't think it has.
Yeah, there are a few of the people who are mentioning something, and that must be a thing of a past, that it was something about taxes, that the dogs which didn't have tail, you didn't have to pay taxes for them.
Yeah, that's correct. That was the initial law here in the UK, that dogs which didn't have tails, the farmers didn't have to pay tax on them. So, but okay, whether that is true or whether that is a made-up story, I really don't know.
Okay, that's quite an interesting story. There is a comment. Wait, obviously people really want to discuss the breed with you a lot, yeah, which is absolutely amazing. I don't want to stress you. We have 160 people watching us live, so obviously this is the reason why there are so many questions. Jenny is saying, from the breed standard, quality and texture of coat to be considered above mere profuseness is mostly nowadays completely overlooked. Soft and over excessive coats are part of the reason why scissoring is needed. Nowadays, when you have a dog with harsh coat, they don't have enough coat compared to these with enormous coats. Is that also, I mean, in Scottish, in Schnauzers, which are my breeds, it is true that when they have, let's say, not the best quality of coat, then they have much more coat, obviously, because harsh coat is not easy to grow.
That's true. Yes, that is the same for Old English. The coats which are correct coats in Old English sheepdogs, you have to be ever so careful when you groom them to make sure that you get a good lens to it. But it's still, to me, if it's a correct coat, I would also allow for less lens, as long as, you know, the coat itself is of a good texture and a good color.
Yeah, well, there is a comment from Deborah, and I know many people like that. She says, I find grooming an Old English sheepdogs very therapeutic. There are people, I mean, I know people who like to do like that. That's, that can be.
I used to as well, but when you sort of grow a bit older, then your fingers and your arthritis in your fingers tells you, oh, sugar, I have to groom again.
It's not so therapeutic anymore.
No.
Okay. I want to, there is one more question, and maybe that's also a very interesting question, because now with the breed having the tail, Rob Ellis is asking you, what is, in your opinion, a correct tail? How, because, you know, we see actually all kinds of tails with many breeds.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, I find it difficult to see an Old English sheepdog with the tail over the back. Whether, but the standard still doesn't say it has to be carried low or not above the back, but there are quite a few dogs in the ring which are shown with tails which at worst are even curled over the back, and I find that difficult. And those dogs definitely do move differently than they should do. But as long as the standard doesn't ask for a certain tail carriage, you as a judge should not really penalize it.
Yeah.
Even so, I do sometimes. I have to admit.
Yeah, it is difficult because there are in many breeds, after the docking ban, actually the standards were not changed, you know, and it doesn't really explain how the tail should be. So it's not so easy, you know, to say what is good or what is bad.
Is carried naturally, which I mean, naturally carried tail can be over the back because it's natural for this particular dog. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I find it in many breeds that it is not explained at all, you know, now how it should be after the bends, but maybe it will change. Nikki Sharp is asking you, do Old English sheepdogs have undercoat like the bearded collie?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. I know there has been a discussion with some other Old English Sheepdog people in these interviews about the color. Inga Cherbule is asking you, would you please comment what is a good color? And then Desi Murphy immediately is asking, what about the slash marked ones? And then Janice is asking, what do you think of the white flashes in the dogs? So there is a little bit of questions about the color.
Yeah, so color for me can vary any shade of gray. Dark gray, silver gray, depending on the age. Younger Old English usually have light. I mean, they start off being born black and white. Then the average puppy changes the coat from the black into gray, sometimes very light gray, and then they go darker as they get older. I have to admit, I don't like brown coats because in my opinion, they are wrong. And then the standard also says it's a wrong color. But anything, any shade of gray, even to a darker gray, is perfectly okay. And when it comes to white parts in the gray part, as long as they are not too big, they don't worry me. I would not penalize a dog for that. If it's a good dog, if there's a white flash on the back, not too big, then it wouldn't worry me. In America, I don't worry about the white flashes at all because they are part of the breed standard there and not to be penalized. And I mean, my best of breed, the American specialty, had a huge white flash, and he was a fabulous dog. So it didn't worry me in the slightest.
Okay, wonderful. Susan is asking, can you describe the amble?
Again, the amble, yeah, difficult to describe when you hardly see a dog ambling now, but it is. How do you describe it? It's not a shuffling sort of, but it's sort of, you know, they go like this, and they can do it a bit faster as well. It's difficult to describe. When you see one who can really do it, you know, oh, this is what they're meant. But sadly, there are not that many about. I haven't seen a dog with a proper amble for a very long time.
Talking about different things, of course, you know, things come to my mind. A lot of handlers, I don't know if all of them, but a lot of them, when they are showing Old English Sheepdogs, you know, when they take them up and down and when they take them around, they always start slowly, you know, like moving them like this, and then they speed up. Why is that?
Because it shows the movement in different kinds of speed. And years ago, most of the judges here in the UK would ask you to walk your dog up and down, then take it round in a faster speed. And I even remember a very well-known judge, Klaus Masters, and she always wanted the exhibitors to have their dogs gallop as well, which some dogs just, because they were told so many times, no, you're not going that fast, so you couldn't make them gallop. I mean, it's
so it's just
the way you show them. But I think most exhibitors now in other breeds as well start off slowly so that the dogs don't go like 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, yeah. Stephen is asking you, would you comb out the black puppy coat to bring on the junior coat quicker?
I have done. Yes, I have done.
Okay.
Not excessively, because it does take a certain age for the puppies on the juniors to change their coat. But I think an experienced judge would always ask in the younger dog classes, how old is your dog, and then judge the coat accordingly to that.
Okay. I mean, I didn't expect that there is going to be so many questions from people, but I think it's interesting because I think people, obviously, you are not, so much on the social media in this way. So people now they say we catch her once now, and now we are going to ask all the questions of the world. So they're really.
Now you pay for accepting this invitation.
Yeah, yeah. So they are really enjoying the conversation. 150 people watching us live. Inga is asking you, can you explain why the European and American standards are different? In Poland, it is said that white spots on a gray coat indicate the presence of some genetic disease.
No, I'm sorry, but that is just simply not correct, because if that was correct, then 9 out of 10 old English sheepdogs in America would have a genetic disease.
Yeah. Okay. So it's good to explain to people. One of my last questions about the old English sheepdogs for you is when you think about your first dogs, let's say about the ones that you got in 1974 and 75, then all your top winning dogs that came a little bit later, and you compare them with the top winning dogs of today, do you think in the last 30, 40 years, the breed has changed a lot, let's say as a type and construction, or just probably the grooming has changed quite a lot, and maybe the way of presentation in general?
I think the presentation has changed. It's definitely different now than it used to be, but I think the good old English sheepdogs, the well-balanced old English sheepdogs from the past, are not different to the very good old English sheepdogs from these days, because at least not here in Europe, because when you look at the pedigrees, they all go back to the same dogs, really. So, no, I don't think there's a massive change there. Okay.
I want to ask you, we have mentioned few of the things like maybe a color or maybe the tail. If you would have the possibility to maybe change something in the official UK or the FCI standard of the breed, maybe to explain something better, is there something that you would like to see being changed or better explained in the standard?
Well, it would be nice if the tail carriage would get a mention, which would make it easier for people also to say, okay, if I look for a stud dog, I don't use the one where I can see that it's carrying the tail over the back, because I find that sort of tail carriage off-putting. But we've got so many things in the moment where I think we have to pay attention in our breed. Whether the tail carriage should be right on top, I don't know. I think people should probably be more looking to get back to dogs which have enough substance, because when I sit at the ringside now here, you cannot necessarily tell who are males and who are females. The females are very, very often bigger than the males, and the males, quite a few, are, in my opinion, not masculine enough.
Okay, let me just check if just my charger is working well or not. I hope yes. I hope I will not get without battery. I have put it up to charge, but okay, I think it will be fine.
Don't leave me alone here.
No, don't worry. I will not leave you alone. Don't worry. I think everything will be fine. I want to ask you, this is, of course, one of the subjects that is very, very important at the moment, and everybody talks about it. That's health. How healthy are the old English sheepdogs? And do you do some kind of genetic tests, or what is something that breeders need to be careful with?
I think that is one thing which has definitely improved here in the UK in the last 20, 30 years from the time when I came here. People do have their dogs health tested, their breeding stock health tested, and I think that is definitely an improvement from when I came to the UK.
Wonderful. Okay, there will probably be more questions about the Old English Sheepdogs. I will try to catch on them a little bit later, but I also want to continue with my questions because otherwise we will be only asking questions from the viewers, which I thought it was amazing that there were so many questions because I think, you know, in my part of Europe, Old English Sheepdogs are not such a popular breed, and on most of the shows and on a big shows you cannot get really big entries anymore. So I'm very impressed that there are so many people who still really love the breed and enjoy the breed. So that's wonderful to see. Let's do now, Christina, a few of these so-called short questions or quick questions, which are a little bit more personal and maybe not so serious. Let's put crafts on the side. Which one would be your favorite UK dog show?
Windsor.
Windsor. Okay. When we talk about Old English Sheepdogs, which one would be maybe the best Old English Sheepdog in your opinion that was not bred or owned by you?
Sorry. So, in my opinion, the best Old English Sheepdog which was not bred by myself.
Yeah, a dog maybe from the past that you have seen just on the photos, or maybe a dog that you have judged, or whatever you like.
Oh, there's more than one. I would love to be able to have Bobbington Latin Lover available again, even so I don't breed anymore, but it would be really nice if he was still around for people to use him. There is a dog I really liked for his type and for his outline, for his movement, and that's the one I gave Best of Breed to at Crafts in 2020, I think it was. Not bred by myself. Hang on, who else is there?
I needed just one, so if you're happy with these two, I'm fine with them.
Okay.
Okay. Tell me now, on the other hand, which one would you say it was the best dog you ever bred?
Oh, Miss Marple. Yeah, I would say Miss Marple. Even so, for type, the Hello Again, Lamida Sottle, Hello Again, she would have been very much up there as well. But that is just for breed type.
Yeah.
As a personal favorite, it would be You Don't Fool Me, Lionel, because he was just. Do you know when you have a dog where you say, this is the love of my life?
Yeah.
That was him.
Okay, wonderful. So we got an excellent from these different aspects. Tell me, when you think about all the things that you won with your dogs, showing them by yourself, which one maybe would be the most special, the most emotional win of your life?
There were quite a few. Winning the centenary show with Miss Marple was very, very special. And winning the group with You Don't Fool Me, the group at Crafts, that was very, very special as well. Never forget that.
Okay, so these two, let's put them on the top. Tell me, when you think about the dogs that you judged, which one you would say, any breed, which one would you say maybe is the best dog that you have ever judged? I don't need the full name, obviously. You can just say the breed and show it happened.
Do you know, that is a difficult question to answer. A dog
I only have
really,
difficult
really,
questions.
really loved, and it's a blue merle collie,
Okay.
rough collie, and I didn't. Oh, that makes me well up now. I didn't even give him best of breed when he was shown in Veteran under me last year at the World Show. And now I'm still sort of not sure whether I'd done the right thing, but he had something which really bothered me on the day, which was okay for his age. But that dog, when he came in the ring the first time I judged him, I just, do you know when your heart melts? When
you just feel something. Tell me, is there a breed that you never had at home and you would like to have it one day?
I love Petit Basset Griffon Wandjin.
Well, there is a sister's influence.
Yeah. Would I love it at home? I don't know. Okay. Because it's a gun dog, and I think the way I live now here in the New Forest with open fields and deer being at the sort of fence.
Maybe not the best idea.
Maybe not. No.
Yeah. Okay. Tell me, is there, well, for sure there is a dog person who is not alive anymore and you terribly miss?
Yes, Kai Harkinson.
Okay. Tell me, when you think about all the amazing breeders in the UK of any breed, who comes to your mind as a person that maybe you would like to say, well, this is probably the best or one of the best breeders in the UK? Any breed.
Oh. There are quite a few people I really admire because they come in the ring and they have every time they have a dog there where I think, yeah, you're going to be right at the top. But specifically, to be fair to everyone, I would need to give that some thought. That's not a question I expected. Otherwise, I would have thought about it.
This is why I never send questions in advance, because I like to speak. I think usually the best answers we get, you know, when you just say what first comes to your mind. And you will not be different than many other of my guests. After the interview, they send me a message and they say, oh, I should have mentioned this, I should have mentioned that. But this is why I don't send questions in advance, because I want to get, you know, maybe the first thing that comes to your mind.
Yeah, I think the Potterdale Beardies, they're doing really, really well. But I also think that the Penleas, Pembroke Corgi, Nicky Blanche and Chris Blanche, they have some fabulous dogs always, you know, for years and years. So, but I probably miss out someone now who will never talk to me again now that I've mentioned.
It's not a question to say which one is the best. It's just a question maybe to give a credit to somebody who you really admire. If I ask you the same question about the breeders of any breed outside of the UK, is there somebody you would like to mention?
In Old English sheepdogs?
No, any breed.
I don't know enough people to really. Okay. Not in other breeds, because my contacts I mean, there's obviously the rough collie breeder, Mrs. Garabelli in Italy. I've admired her rough collies for many, many years, and I think she's one person who, I mean, even before I came to the UK, I already admired her rough collies when they were shown in Germany. But
okay, that's a good answer for sure. Tell me, when you were showing your dogs, tell me 3 names of 3 judges whose opinion about your dogs was always extremely important for you. It can be somebody who is still actively judging, or somebody who is not judging anymore or not alive anymore. Who were, you know, 3 persons that when you will get a new beautiful young dog, you would say, oh, I would really like him or her to like my dog?
First of all, I would say Rainer Vorinen.
Okay.
Because I always felt that he was a totally honest person, and to my mind, he had a fabulous eye for all breeds. Also, Kari Järvinen.
Okay.
I've shown under Kari only in groups and best in shows because he has never judged the breed here. But I always felt either if I won or didn't win, I always thought, yeah, I can see what you are doing.
Wonderful. Okay, that's nice to hear. Tell me, if you would go to judge somewhere very far, let's say in Australia or New Zealand, and they would say to you, for a longer period of time, let's say 1 month, and you need to do judge 10, 15 shows, and they say you can bring 3 colleague judges with you to have a good time and people that you will trust that they will do a good job in the ring. Which 3 persons would you bring with you?
Well, of course, I would have to take Barbara. If I didn't, she'd never talk to me again, and I wouldn't want to risk that.
Is she like that?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
And I possibly would even like to take Andrew Brace with me. He might not want to come with me, but
we will see. I'm sure he will answer now if he would love or not. Okay. And one more maybe.
Liz Cartledge.
Liz Cartledge. Oh, wonderful company, definitely.
Yes.
Tell me, if I give you now the opportunity to say thank you to 5 people who have helped you to become what you are today in the world of dogs, to which 5 people would you like to say thank you? Obviously, they can be alive or not alive anymore.
Mm-hmm. So people who have helped me, I would love to be able to say thank you to Mrs. Bucks Benning from the Reewijk kennel, because she was massively responsible for what I've achieved. The other person has to be on the same level, Kai Haakonsen. To me, he was the absolute, well, he was like the ultimate person you would ask, regardless of puppies or adult dogs. I would trust his experience with anything, any dog really. Who else has? David Samuel, the late David Samuel, who helped me an awful lot by encouraging me to judge other breeds. Then, so that is...
Okay. Whenever you want to stop, it's okay. It doesn't need to be really fine.
Yeah, those...
Okay, these are 2 people. Anyhow, as I expected, Andrew has wrote, I've never turned that invitation down. So,
good.
Tell me, Christina, if you could change one thing about the dog world today, what would you like to change?
The dog world today, you mean on the breeding level or on the show level?
Whatever bothers you at the moment with the dog world.
I would like to, first of all, get the Kennel Club to accept that unless health testing is made compulsory, I don't think we will actually survive with our sport, because to me, and I'm not sure whether it is possible because of finance, registering puppy farm dogs, I don't think is going to help our sport. And the other thing I would like to change, if that was possible, people going to dog shows, not just to win, but to have fun. Go and look at other people's dogs and go to dog shows for that, not just because you want to have a champion. It doesn't really matter. I mean, some dogs I've had in the past I haven't shown, and to me they were extremely special, and it doesn't matter whether there's a champion title in front of it, as long as they are champions in your eyes. Some dogs don't show that easily, and I think it's getting coming to a point sometimes where you think, oh, for heaven's sake, just chill.
Yeah.
You know, this used to be
too serious. Yeah.
Yeah, it used to be a hobby. We used to have fun, and I don't think people have necessarily that amount of fun anymore. But then it's become rather expensive, so you put more. You are put more under stress to have something to show for when you come back home.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's we need to think in a way that who wants to show dogs today, it's really a lot of money, and so maybe if the people go and they lose, they're not so happy anymore because they think all the things that I could bought for this money which I spent on a trip. So yeah, there are two sides of the story. Tell me, Christina, if you could change one thing about yourself, what would you like to change?
Maybe not being quite as how do I put that? I find it very difficult to approach people, to talk to them. I had to obviously learn it since I'm on my own. So I can, if I'd look at myself from the outside, I would probably say, gosh, he's rather arrogant.
Okay.
But
which is not true.
Not really, no. It's just I'm quite sort of hesitant, and I don't like being in the center of attention.
Yeah. There we are working on your progress.
I know. No. Better late than never.
You will thank me one day. You will thank me one day. Tell me, Christina, obviously, both you and me, we lived in the time when there was no social media, no Instagram, no Facebook. Do you think that in general social media is good or bad for the dog world?
In general, I think it's good. I do. Because I think people have a chance to look around the world a bit more. They're not so just focused on what is going on here in our country or whichever country, because you see what is happening in other countries. So no, I think social media is good. I would like it to be not necessarily quite as bitchy at times, but
Yeah, it comes with the good sides and the bad sides, like everything else in life. Tell me the last of the quick questions. Tell me 3 things that are better in Germany than in the UK, and 3 things that are better in the UK than in Germany.
Do you know that is a good question. Germany, I really think, is good for God knows how many years already. You have to have your dogs health tested. They have to have clear results. Unless they have, you're not going to have you can't breed, and the dogs will not be registered.
Okay. Let's not talk only about dogs. We can talk also about food, culture, whatever you like.
Right. Oh well, I can say that now. After Leon passed away, I thought, do I go back to Germany? And I went to the place where I used to live, had a look around, walked through the streets, and I love Germany. I go back 3-4 times every year. But when I went round there, I talked to people and I thought, would I still fit in here? And I thought, no, I wouldn't.
Okay.
So maybe that answers your question.
On both sides.
It's more relaxed here. It's not as strict. So in a way, it's a good thing for me. In the dog scene, I would prefer if there was in England, it was a bit more difficult to breed a litter. I would prefer if breeders had the same sort of control which they have in Germany, that litters get inspected before they're sold, and registered. But if if that was possible here in the UK, I don't know. Possibly it wouldn't. So, you can't have it both ways. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, okay. Anyhow, it was about what would you like. So
yeah.
These are your wishes.
Yes.
Let's talk now, Christina, a little bit about breeding. When you were thinking about your next combinations, your next litters, how you were choosing, which female to make with which male? How important was the pedigree for you? Were you doing the line breeding, or you were doing a lot of outcrossing? What was your breeding strategy in general?
I always looked at pedigrees. Pedigrees first, and then types of dogs. They had to complement each other. My really best sort of litters came out of aunt-nephew breedings, and they're quite closely bred, probably closer than some people would now say would be a good thing. But I've always been happy with line or inbreeding. Outcrosses have hardly ever worked for me. But then saying that, my very last litter I bred, I thought I had a really good pedigree, but there was one dog in there, female, which I had never seen, and I wished I had, because she was ultimately the dominant one. Even so, 75% of this pedigree was known to me, and everyone I like, but this one female, I
influenced everything.
Yeah, she must. Well, I still don't know what she looked like, but she must have been much larger than any of mine ever was, because I've got the offspring now here at home, and she is a whopper.
Okay. Tell me, at the time when you were choosing the puppy that you want to keep for yourself or sell to a show home, at which age you were choosing the puppies, and how would you decide which is maybe the best puppy of the litter?
Initially, straight after birth, looking at them, you get feeling, and you think you are special, and then you keep watching them. Don't look at, especially now with Old English, don't look at them between 4.5 and 6.5 weeks, because they grow in all sorts of directions, and you think, oh, that can't possibly be right. I've also found with Old English, you cannot say if the head is good at birth that it will actually be a really good head. It sometimes changes, but sort of by 10 weeks you can tell, but it's quite often it's just a gut feeling.
Yeah.
Look at them and you think you've got that little bit of extra.
Tell me, when we are talking about the judges for you as an exhibitor, what was, in your opinion, a good judge, or what was a bad judge? What was somebody that you would say, okay, I want to enter under this person, I want to hear his or her opinion, or I would never enter under this person again?
Oh, I have been under judges where I knew beforehand that I wouldn't have a chance in hell, and I still showed under them to prove a point. That has sometimes worked by sort of making them, oh my God, she is actually here. And I did do well. And other times I've been told, I would never in a million years give it to one of your dogs. So,
okay. So it's answer to what is good and what is bad, actually, about.
No, when I used to show, I sort of tried to go under everyone. Some judges would be more, I'd be more nervous because I wanted them to like what I show, and others I thought, I don't really mind whether you do or you don't. I'm here to prove a point.
Okay, that's fair. Tell me, you are one of the very few judges who judged her own breed twice at Crafts.
Yeah,
What kind of feeling is to judge your own breed at Crafts?
brilliant.
Brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant, because it's an honor. It makes you feel special. But to be honest, I think there are people who have been overlooked judging our breed. People I feel should have judged them, but they haven't. They haven't been invited, whatever reason for. I've I don't know. I don't know why they haven't.
Okay, that's also fair to say. Tell me, I have asked you. I have asked you before. You said 125 dogs at Crafts this year. That is a good
Yeah.
entry for
Yes.
now.
Yeah. That
What,
is.
what were the Crafts entries, let's say, 10 years ago? The same or much higher?
No, about 170, 160, 170.
Okay. Tell me now, Christina, you published a book, The Complete Old English Sheepdog.
Yeah.
How did you decide to write the book? And also, that book actually has been dedicated to one person. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, I didn't actually decide to write the book. I was approached by Ring Press, and I said at the time, well, my English is really not good enough to write a book, and they said, don't worry about it. We'll sort it. But in the end, it worked out. It was all right. And the person I dedicated it to was the breeder of the Reewijk dogs in Netherlands, Mrs. Bugs Benning, because without her, I wouldn't have had Miss Marple's mum and wouldn't have had Miss Marple. So, and I learned an awful lot from her. She was a very, very good mentor.
Tell me, how important are the mentors in life?
Oh, I think they're hugely important. I don't know. When you go to dog shows sometimes and you stand just at the ringside and you listen to some people talking about the dogs in the ring and on, you think, right, okay, fair enough. And you try and talk to these people and they just don't want to know. But that is something we used to do. We used to sit at the ringside, and talk to people who had been in the breed for much longer than we had. And you listened and you thought, yeah, okay, I can see what you're saying, but I don't think people do want to know now. They know it all.
Yeah, this is what I wanted to ask you. I mean, you are a legend in your own breed. Do you have young people approaching you often and asking you for your opinion or for your guidance or something like that?
No, I've got two people who asked me what I think they should be doing with the dogs they have got from me, and I'm very grateful to that because it shows me that I've chosen the right two people to give those dogs to. But other than that, no.
Yeah, that's a very, very sad part of the dog world today. I mean, I when I was a young boy, of course, but it was different in a way because we didn't have, all the social media and the information were not so easily accessible. So you had to go and talk to breeders. You had to, to get information. Now I think it's all a little bit too easy for the young generations.
Yeah.
Still, it's quite sad. I would agree with you. I want to mention one thing that you mentioned before. Just maybe if we can talk a little bit more about that, because I think it's very interesting. You said that one of your mentors taught you the most valuable lesson with regards to judging. He told you your eyes lie to your hands.
Yes.
So therefore, if at all possible, go over the dogs with your eyes closed. What does it actually mean?
Well, it obviously applies to long-coated breeds. When you go over the dogs after you've looked at them and you have the most beautiful presented dog there, your eye tells you this dog looks good. but when you touch them, it may be just well groomed and well presented. So if you have a ring with 20 odd dogs, unless you are very good at memorizing, which is something you really you can't do from the very first time of judging, but by going over them with your eyes closed, you can black out the vision you had before, and you can actually say, yeah, those shoulders are as good as they looked like from the distance. And I find that was a very valuable advice I was given there.
Wonderful. Yeah, I mean, it sounds very interesting because it is, many of us, we get impressed by the first picture because, there is a lot of glamour and style and everything. But then sometimes when you do like this, there is a lot of surprises. Let's go that way. I want to ask you, Christina, you have been doing the translations for many years for the FCI from German to English and from English to German. How difficult is that? Because I must say that now I'm learning new breeds, and sometimes with the breeds and the standards that are translated from another language, there are some words and some explanations which, if you read them in the original language, sound completely different in another language.
Yeah, I would totally agree. It's not an easy job. I enjoyed doing it because you learn more about other breeds. I mean, I never even knew about the Norwegian Lundehund before I did the translation, and I was totally amazed at what this dog can do. And I mentioned it to Arne Foss at one point, and he said, "Oh yeah, they're fabulous." And I said, "I've never even seen one, only on photographs." So I enjoyed the translations, but they weren't easy.
Yeah, I can completely understand that. Okay, now is the time for something that our viewers really, really love. We have still 150 people watching, which means that you are doing a great job, because normally if this was boring or bad or whatever, we would, start with 150 and now we would be on 20, but we are still hanging there. So wonderful for that. Let's pass the photos of your life. I know this is something that gives a lot of nightmares to my guests, because they say, how to choose the most important photos of my life. But somehow we always come to it.
My upstairs has got about 500 photographs still on the floor.
I can imagine. But anyhow, you have managed to choose some photos, and I'm sure that people will be very excited to see them. And you will obviously tell us why did you choose them and what they represent for you. Let's start with the nice photo of you and Barbara, your sister. That seems like not only a connection, between two sisters. It looks like a really amazing friendship.
Yes, it is. And I've chosen that photograph because it was actually taken by Andrew Brace.
Okay.
And I think it's a brilliant photograph of, well, apart from my daughter, the most important person in my life.
Wonderful. That's very nice to hear. Really nice. Well, let's go now from people to dogs a little bit. This is a photo of a dog called You Don't Fool Me.
Yes.
Tell us about this photo.
That was a photo taken after winning the group at Crafts. And this dog to me was the one dog for me out of all of them. Not necessarily. He won a hell of a lot of CCs, 49 CCs. So I wasn't on my own was loving him, but he was just the person. If I had asked this dog to dance on his head, he would have done it for me. He was just the one. You look back and you say, yeah, if I could have one dog back, he'd be the one.
Okay, I see. That's very emotional for you, and I mean, it means a lot. And I know it's sometimes not easy, but I like to see that in people, because it talks a lot about your passionate about your love for the dogs and the breed. So wonderful. Well, happy moments definitely winning Best in Show at Windsor under a very, very young Kari Järvinen at that time. Tell us about that.
Well, it was the very first show I went to after they split up from my ex-husband, and it wasn't a necessarily amicable split up. So being in the ring there and showing Josephine, who was the female love of my life in dogs.
Okay.
She behaved like an absolute dream, and to end up being best in show, being given best in show on that day, it was a fabulous day. It sort of proved that I could do it on my own as well.
That's wonderful. Yeah, that's really nice. We spoke already during the interview many times about Miss Marple.
Yes.
Here is a photo of her. Tell us a little bit more about her.
Miss Marple was the most stubborn personality you could ever meet in your life, whether a dog or human. I think she comes right out at the top, which is probably down to having been in quarantine from the age of 12 weeks onwards. So the time where you would train a dog, she was in a quarantine kennel and you couldn't do anything with her. She knew her importance. She knew that she was special, and she'd be at a dog show, she'd sit there and she'd look around, and if she didn't see anybody she really liked, she'd be in a bad mood already. So if I needed to go to the bathroom and I would leave someone she didn't like to sit with her, she'd be fine as long as I wasn't in the ring. Then in the ring, and she'd look at me and she'd say, "Remember who you left me with?" And she'd behave like an absolute cow. Really. So you have to hold on to her, and sometimes, a couple of times, maybe more, she'd go, "Eh!" So someone at the ringside would say, "See, I told you, this German woman, she's really cruel with her dogs." I wouldn't have dared to do anything, but that was Miss Marple. She was her own person. She was like a human.
Okay, wonderful. Well, that's a nice story. There is a photo of a Lameda Zotel dog in the USA winning Best of Winners. Tell us about
that was photo I chose because the handler there and owner is Kai Harkinson, or was Kai Harkinson, the late owner of the Barlam's kennel, who I would place right on top of anybody who I would have looked up to, and the person I really do still miss. He was like not just a mentor, but he was my closest ever male friend. He was like a brother. I loved him.
Wonderful. Well, we are staying with important people and friends. There is a question of two ladies.
Yes.
Tell us about them.
That's Birgitte Schjødt and Lisa Tilford Nielsen. They are the best friends anybody could ever have. Lisa has sent me messages from the day after Leon passed away, every single day, to make sure I'm all right. And
friends for.
Yes.
So I'm sure that these both ladies will be very happy to see the photo with you on the screen, because maybe sometimes we don't have the possibility to say to people how important they are for us. But like this, I think it's a very nice gesture of you to say how important they are for you.
They definitely are. They are the best.
Wonderful. Let's go to the past with the photo of 4 of your dogs.
That was in Germany. It's the two Rewijk dogs. On the left is Tottles Estee Lauder. She came to the UK with me, and she was the dam of my first UK champions. She was a multi-champion, top Old English in Europe at the time. The next one is Rewijk's Dew Fantasy, who I bought when he was still a youngster, shown already quite a bit by Mark James at the time, who worked for Mrs. Bucks Benning. And then the next one on there is, hang on, who's next one? Oh, yeah. Eagle Has Landed, who also came with me to the UK. Tottle's Eagle Has Landed, also a champion. And then on the right-hand side is Rewijk's Film Star in Silver, who is Miss Marple's mother.
Wonderful. We are now going to, well, I have wrote this so bad that I will not remember the name. I will not be able to read the name of the dog, but you will tell me. It was anyhow his first group placement.
Yes, Flamboyant. That is
Flamboyant. Because
Flamboyant.
I wrote
Yeah.
I couldn't even read it myself.
And one of my most admired judges, the late Di Johnson.
Yeah, I have recognized Di on the photo.
Yes, yeah.
So now we are going to you judging your first pastoral group ever.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, that I was quite nervous, I have to say.
More nervous than about my interview, or less nervous?
No, less.
Ah, so I'm on the top. I'm on the top.
This beats a lot, I can assure you. But because I was desperate to do a good job, which I think is normal for if you care about judging. But then when this Tervuren came in the ring, I thought, oh, thank God, I've got a fabulous, regardless who else comes now, I've got at least one fabulous dog to put up. And I was so proud afterwards when she ended up being the #1 all breeds, because I didn't have a clue who she was. I don't go to dog shows anymore. Yes, I look online, but I don't even get the dog paper. So I didn't know how well she would do. And it was lovely. I felt really good.
Wonderful. I hope there will be the same experience after the interview tonight. Let's hope so. There is a girl called Georgia.
Yes.
Tell us about her.
That photograph I chose because to me, that amount of coat, that grooming is a proper show grooming in full coat, without scissoring, without too much styling, just a beautiful looking dog. And she, by the way, if Andrew is still there, she had a perfect coat.
Well, Andrew is definitely watching because he wrote just now, Christina should have been judging the pastoral group many years before. It was long overdue, and she did a fabulous job. So
thank you.
There is a picture of you judging in the USA. Tell us about that.
That I chose that photograph because the person who's handling there and with his own dog is again Kai Harkinson. I did not know that he was showing under me, and to be honest, when he came in the ring, I near enough died, and I thought, what am I going to do? I'm totally against showing under friends. I just don't like it. And I was sort of humming and hawing, and I thought, no, I'm judging dogs. I know it's my closest friend, but I'm judging dogs. And if he's got the best dog, I will put it up. And I did.
Wonderful.
I told him off afterwards. I said, I'll never talk to you ever again in a million years because you shouldn't have shown under me. It was wrong. And he said, no, I knew you would do what you were right. And he said, I would have been happy to be placed third. And I said, no, you wouldn't.
Yeah, probably he wouldn't.
The dog was by far superior to any other dog shown on the day. So,
yeah. Well, I mean, I know it's not easy, but I think, you know, when you judge dogs, and it should be dogs only, and then
yes.
it makes it all much easier.
Yes. And that goes also for people you don't like. If they have the best dog, then you put them up.
Absolutely. I mean, when we think about let's say famous people in the dog world, like, I don't know, Barbara or Andrew. I mean, they know everybody. They are friends with millions of people. To be, you know, so I mean, they must judge all the time people that they are close with or friends with. Maybe not the best friends, but whatever. And as long as they are, you know, judging just dogs, it makes it very easy. And also, I think when you are showing under a friend, you know, you say, okay, you know, what it goes, and I will accept it, and that will never change my friendship. You mentioned Rainer Warren, and before I was really happy to meet Rainer a few times in my life and to spend some time with him. I said to him, we spoke actually about that, you know, friends or people that you're close with showing under you, and he says, my boy, just remember, friends are friends, business is business. And he says, once you accept that, everything will be easy. So I think
he's one of the most intelligent people around. I owe him an awful lot. Nothing to do with dogs, but I wish, yes.
I love Rainer, and I really have huge respect for him, and he has been also very influential in my life.
Mine too.
Yeah. Maybe one of the things that people will not know about you is that you were a queen for a day.
Yes, I've chosen that photograph because the very first time Leon and I went with Lionel abroad after, you know, we were allowed. We went to the World Show in Amsterdam, and we were queuing outside, and someone behind us shouted, "The effing Queen of England is here. I don't believe it."
Okay.
And I thought, well, if you just knew that out of 700 pupils at my school, my high school, I was chosen one day to be the Queen of England going round our village. And the photograph was taken that day, and I thought, yeah, Queen of England.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is why these interviews and these photos of our lives are so special. And I always say, it was not my idea. It was actually Andrew's idea. And he said, you should ask people, you know, to pick up some photos that are important for me, because it really brings so much to these interviews. And I absolutely love this part of it. So now people know that you have also been a Queen of England only for one day, but
only for one day.
More than many others.
Exactly. Yeah.
You mentioned this as one of the most emotional wins of your life, best in show at the Centenary Club show. Tell us about that.
Well, the entry was, I mean, 250 dogs, incredible. And Miss Marple was still very young. It was in 1988, and she was born in 85. I never expected to do that well. I hope to be placed, especially as Fowlis Summerfield Hamilton was judging, you know, someone you admire because of, you know, her knowledge and the way. I mean, she was a wonderful person, but apart from being having been a really excellent judge, I would have been happy to just have been placed, and to win Best in Show was just amazing. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, there is another boy that we have mentioned many times. That's Flamboyant.
Yes.
Tell us about him.
Now, when you look at this photograph of Flamboyant, you can see also the difference in coat presentation, and you can see that he is a shorter coupled dog than quite a number of them in the ring now. But then he didn't have the tail. I mean, yes, he's the breed record holder, but like with Miss Marple, I had things I would have had, if I had a choice, would have liked different on him. To me, for his size, he could have had more substance.
Okay, nice to be honest. It's always nice to hear that. And then we are closing the photos of your life with the win from Champion of Champions.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
That was the most amazing day, because I admired Dr. Tibor Brody immensely. I thought he was not just a great person, but also as a judge, I thought he was brilliant. And on that day, if I'm not mistaken, there were about 400 dogs of different breeds entered there, and to be chosen, as a winner, it was incredible.
These are those special moments of our lives. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. We have been talking now for 1 hour and 45 minutes.
Wow.
You have to keep for 1 hour and 45 minutes almost 160 people to watch you live.
Wow.
I have only 3 more questions for you. First of these 3 is thinking about all the amazing advices that you got from your mentors during your life. Which one would be maybe the best advice to give to the young people starting in dogs today?
Starting in dogs today, make sure that you start off with the most healthiest of puppies you can possibly get your hands on. Look at the parents, look at how the puppies are raised, make sure it's a well-bred puppy, make sure it's been well socialized from basically the day they can have people around. But be careful, don't just go to someone because it's nearer to home. Travel or go abroad.
Okay.
Do your homework before you get a puppy.
Wonderful. Tell me, Christina, what are your plans for the future?
Oh, nothing with regards to showing or breeding. That to me is the way I used to do it. It's too work intensive to do by yourself.
Okay.
Sadly.
But I know you are very much looking forward to Judge Collies at Crafts.
Border Collies, yes.
Border Collies, sorry,
yeah.
But it was 2026, if I'm correct.
Yes, 26, yes, yeah.
Wonderful.
But I don't have any ambitions to do any other breeds. I've been asked and I've said, no, the breeds I wanted to do, I am doing, are not.
And you are staying loyal to them.
Yes, and I think judging, for me personally, it has to be breeds you really want to judge, not to become an all-rounder or to do best in show at one point. It has never been something I sort of aimed for. If I had someone here on a regular basis and I had a nice dog which I didn't have to look after all the time, coat-wise, yes, I would like to show. I've always preferred showing to judging. Okay,
wonderful. Last question of tonight. You have mentioned that we are in a kind of a dangerous period for the sport in general. There are a lot of things going on. I'm sure you know also from Barbara what is happening in Switzerland, in Germany, in Austria, in many countries. The rules are getting more and more strict. There are more and more people, who are going against purebred dogs, dog shows, and everything. What is maybe something that you think it should be done now, to change this perspective? And do you think that, let's say, in 10 years, dog breeding, dog showing is going to look the same like it's looking today?
No, I don't. And I'll tell you why. Having been at the World Show in September, and there were a number of incidences where professional handlers had more than 3, 4, 5, 6 dogs, which were kept in cages for quite a long time, and we tried to go against that. And when I saw that, I thought if anybody who was anti-dog showing was coming in here now, I would agree with them if they said this is not right. And I think there should be some sort of way to make sure that dog shows are not necessarily done the way they are done quite often now.
Okay, yeah, well, things definitely need to change, but then it is like with everything else, from one person to another.
Absolutely, so, absolutely. Yeah. I don't know where the actual answer is.
Of our life,
yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that I would have the perfect answer, but I remember when we were showing in the 80s and in the 90s, we had 1 or 2 dogs at shows, and we went to the dog shows not just to win, but to have fun and to compare our dogs with the others to see who's got the best looking animal. But it didn't really matter as much what the end result was. It was a different time, and I'm not sure whether one can turn the clocks back. I'm sure we can't.
Difficult. But yeah, I mean, a lot has changed, and also in a way, I think we all live much more stressful lives now than what we lived before. Yeah. And as you said, things are changing and everything is becoming more and more expensive, not only for the dog exhibitors but also for the organizers. Yeah, I mean, I think, for example, now we had these Corona times when people were buying puppies like crazy, any kind of dogs, anything, yeah. And now you have really good breeders, who want to breed something, for the show homes or for them to show, but they can't breed because there are no people to buy pet quality puppies, yeah. And you can't just keep them all. So I mean, I agree with you. Different times are now than what they were before, and difficult times are coming to us. And I really hope we will all find, in a way, strength to survive, because it would be a pity to lose all the good things that there are in this sport.
I hope we won't. And I mean, looking around, there are enough people still around who, have the main aspect in their heads from what is important with the dog showing and the breeding. I'm just hoping that we will not go down a road where, we get too many of the other kind of people involved.
Let's hope so. Anyhow, from a little bit pessimistic view, let's go to the optimistic view. The first good news of today is that you have survived the interview. Second good news is that there have been so many people watching it that you got in 2 hours more than 180 comments. So people have really enjoyed it. I hope you will find a little bit of time to read all the comments that people left, because obviously I couldn't read them all. As I said before, there is not going to be any interview next Wednesday because I have done things a little bit in a wrong way. But in the same time, I wish to all of you to spend a nice St. Valentine's with your loved ones. Doesn't matter if it's people or dogs or whatever. We are coming back on 21st of February. I'm bringing one of the most iconic whippet breeders in the world, Mrs. Debbie Budd from the USA of Sporting Field Whippets. So that's going to be very interesting. Also, I'm looking very much forward to that. I will, as always, leave the last words of the evening to you, Christina, to say to all the people who are watching this live, and to many others who will see this later on. But before I give you the opportunity to say your last words, I will read just few of the comments that we got now in the last few minutes, so you can really feel good about tonight. Let's see. I need to go quite a lot up because there have been so many comments. Gwen is saying, great interview, Ante. I have so much respect for Christina and have really enjoyed listening tonight. Thank you. Chloe saying, what a fabulous interview. I have learned so much from you and will continue learning so much. I will forever be grateful for your support and guidance. Loredana Salina is saying, Christina, I could listen to you for hours. Great interview. Thanks to Ante, great as usual, and thank you, Christina, for your time. Nick is saying, fantastic interview. Thank you, Christina and Ante. Anthony is saying, fabulous interview. Christina is a lovely lady and breeds beautiful dogs, sharing great insights. Patricia saying, again, an amazing interview, such passion. Thanks, Ante and Christina. Mai saying, absolutely love to listen to Christina. Thank you, Ante, for the fabulous interview. Best part of Wednesdays. Best wishes to Christina. So there are so many comments like this. I really hope you are going to read them all, and then you will be happy that you said yes to me. Anyhow, last words of the evening are for you, Christina.
Well, if I may just say thank you to you first for inviting me, even though I nearly had a heart attack when you did. And I had to think about it first. As you recall, I wasn't sure whether, my life would be interesting enough to even, warrant an invitation like this. So thank you to you, and for giving me the opportunity. But I also have to say thank you to quite a number of people who carry on breeding really fabulous Old English sheepdogs. Nicolas Canales, Matteo, his partner, then Davor and Andrea Javor, they're doing a grand job. There's another person in the Netherlands, Connie Hartman, Loost, whichever surname. She's breeding lovely dogs. So there are good people still around. And I think with them being still actively breeding, I think the breed will be okay. I just hope that the UK will sort of ask a few of those dogs to come in here.
Okay. Well, I am extremely happy that I have asked you to do this. I'm extremely grateful that you said yes, because I didn't really realize it's going to be such a stress for you. But you did really, really well, and I have absolutely enjoyed the last 2 hours. 210 comments for the moment and more coming. So people have really, really enjoyed it. And before we started, I said to you, don't worry, just think we are doing it for the, greater cause. And yes. I'm sure that so many of the, not only people who are involved with the Old English Sheepdogs, but people in general who are involved with the dog world have loved to hear your opinions and your stories. And that for the young generations coming after all of us, this will be, one of these materials that everybody will be able to go and look and say, okay, look at this. This is really interesting. So thank you so much for accepting my invitation. I'm very happy we have done it. I think you can be only happy with yourself with all that has happened this evening. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you for the great numbers of comments. I'm sure Christina will enjoy to read them all, and see you not next Wednesday, but on 21st. And in the meantime, next 4 days, enjoy the live streams from the 4 shows in Budapest. Thank you, everybody, and good night. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you. And
genetic testing at EVG is quick and easy. Order a test online, send us a sample, and results will follow shortly. You can order a test using an online form. Not sure which test to choose? We have a wide selection of breed-specific test packages. A few days after your order, you'll receive a sampling kit. Taking a sample is the most important part of the test. You can do it all by yourself in the comfort of your own home. First, label the collection swabs with the animal's name or sample number. Open it without touching the tip. Put the swab between the teeth and cheeks and rub it against the cheek mucosa with gentle rotations for 30 seconds. With your other hand, press against the cheek from the outside to increase the amount of collected cells. Let the swab dry for a few seconds and then put it into the sterile packaging. Repeat the procedure with a second swab on the other cheek. Put both dried swabs and order form into an envelope and send it to us. Within 7 days, the final results will be in your user profile and your inbox. Have questions about the results? Write to us or call us. Our team is friendly and unique, just like your pet. EVG, genetic insight into your pet's life.